Many people hear the words let it go, and instead of feeling peace, they feel something else entirely. They feel pressure, they feel shame, they feel misunderstood. Because when someone says just let it go, it can sound like stop caring, or stop feeling, or you're being too much. And if you are already carrying something heavy, those words don't feel like medicine. They feel like a slap. Maybe you have tried to let go of someone who hurt you, but your mind keeps returning to the same memory like a bird circling a place it can't leave. Maybe you tried to let go of a relationship, but your heart still reaches for it in the quiet moments. Maybe you tried to let go of a mistake, an embarrassment, a failure, but it follows you like a shadow. Or maybe you try to let go of anxiety about the future, but the future keeps shouting in your mind, what if, what if, what if? Letting go in the Buddha's teaching is something much more gentle, much more honest, and much more freeing. It is not the act of throwing life away. It is the act of stopping the extra suffering we add on top of life. Because life has pain. We all know this. In Buddhism, this is called dukkha, often translated as suffering, but it also means unsatisfactoriness, that feeling that something is not quite right, not stable, not secure. Even when things are good, there is a subtle tension. Will this last? Even when we get what we want, there is still restlessness. What next? Even when we are loved, there is fear. What if I lose this? The Buddha did not teach that life is only misery. He taught something more subtle and more realistic. Life is changing, and when we try to hold changing things as if they should not change, we suffer. This is the heart of letting go. To let go means to stop trying to make life obey your grasp. But why does it feel so hard? Why, when we hear let go, does our whole mind tighten? Because most of us misunderstand what we are holding. We think we are holding the person. We think we are holding the situation. We think we are holding the past. But very often, what we are really holding is a demand. A demand that reality must be different for us to be okay. This is a deep, quiet truth. If you look closely, you may see it in yourself. You might say, I can't let go of him, but underneath it might be, he must love me the way I want, otherwise I feel worthless. You might say, I can't let go of what happened, but underneath it might be, it should not have happened because it makes life feel unfair and unsafe. You might say, I can't let go of this fear, but underneath it might be, I must control the future so I don't get hurt. So the mind grips, not because it enjoys suffering, but because it believes clinging will protect you, and craving has two close companions. One is aversion, the pushing away of what we don't like. Other is ignorance, not seeing clearly how things really are. Craving pulls, aversion pushes, ignorance confuses. And between pulling and pushing, the mind becomes tired. The heart becomes tight. Life becomes heavier than it needs to be. So when Buddhism speaks of letting go, it is talking about relaxing this pulling and pushing. It is talking about seeing clearly what is happening and releasing the extra struggle we create. Now, I want to say something very important. Especially if you have been hurt, if you have trauma, if you carry deep emotions, letting go does not mean you should not feel. In fact, real letting go begins when you allow yourself to feel. Many people think letting go means getting rid of feelings. They think if they still feel anger, it means they have not let go. If they still feel sadness, it means they are weak. If they still feel longing, it means they are stuck. But feelings are not the enemy. Feelings arise naturally, like waves in the ocean. You cannot command the ocean to have no waves, but you can learn to not drown in them. You can learn to ride them with wisdom. Letting go is not pushing the wave away. Letting go is learning to stop building a second ocean of suffering on top of the first. Here is a simple image. Imagine you are holding sand in your fist. If you hold it gently, some sand stays. If you squeeze tightly, the sand slips through your fingers faster. The tighter you grip, the more you lose, and your hand gets tired. Your fingers cramp, your whole arm aches, and still you cannot win. This is how it is with life. Love is like sand. Youth is like sand. Praise is like sand. Control is like sand. Even certainty is like sand. A wise person does not stop holding the sand. They just stop squeezing it. This is what letting go is. Now, let's bring this into ordinary life, because Buddhism is not meant to stay in books. It is meant to meet you in your bed at night, in your kitchen, in your workplace, in your relationships, in your fears, in your mistakes. Let's look at a relationship example, because this is where many people struggle most with letting go. Maybe you care about someone, and you are not trying to be attached in a childish way. You are simply human. You love, you hope, you want connection, but something happens. They become distant, they don't reply, they change, they disappoint you, they choose someone else, or maybe they stay, but they don't love you the way you need. And your mind starts to spin. You check your phone again and again. You replay conversations. You search for hidden meaning. You imagine what they are doing. You try to fix yourself, or fix them, or fix the whole relationship. And deep down, it feels like your peace depends on them behaving a certain way. This is a very painful place to be. Now, what would most people say? They might say, just let them go. But that's too simple. And it can feel cruel, because you can't just switch off your heart like a light. But there is another kind of love, a love that says, I care about you, and I also care about my own peace. I will act wisely, I will communicate honestly, but I will not destroy myself by gripping what I cannot control. This is where letting go begins. Now, another daily life scene, letting go of a mistake. Maybe you did something you regret. Maybe you said something harsh. Maybe you missed an opportunity. Maybe you failed an exam. Maybe you made a decision that changed your life in a painful way. And now your mind keeps going back. If only I had done that. Why did I say that? I ruined everything. I can't forgive myself. I should have known better. This is one of the most common forms of clinging to the past. The past is gone, but the mind holds it like a knife and keeps cutting itself. Now, please understand, regret can be useful. It can show you what matters. It can teach you to be more careful. But endless self-punishment is not wisdom. It is suffering. In Buddhism, the wise response to a mistake is not denial and not self-hatred. It is acknowledgement and learning. The Buddha taught that we can purify the mind. We can change. We can begin again. Letting go here means you stop identifying yourself as the mistake. You stop saying, I am bad, and you start seeing a harmful action happened and I can choose a better action now. This is very different. One is a prison, the other is a path. Now, another daily scene, letting go of control at work or studies. You may be someone who tries hard. You want to do well, you want stability, you want respect, you want to be seen, but the mind becomes tight. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I lose my job? What if I'm not good enough? What if I don't reach my goals? So you overwork, you overthink, you compare, you chase approval, and even when you achieve something, you cannot enjoy it because the mind is already running to the next fear. In Buddhism, letting go is not stopping effort. It is stopping the kind of effort that is poisoned by craving. There is wholesome effort and there is anxious effort. Wholesome effort says, I will do my best step by step. Anxious effort says, I must succeed or I am nothing. Wholesome effort brings energy and clarity. Anxious effort brings tension and fear. Letting go means you keep doing your best, but you release the belief that your worth depends on outcomes. So, what does letting go actually feel like? Sometimes people imagine letting go will feel like immediate happiness, like a bright light, like relief, like a miracle. But at first, letting go can feel strange. It can feel like empty hands. And empty hands can feel scary, especially if you have been gripping for a long time. Your mind might say, if I stop holding, what will happen? Your identity might feel shaky. Your familiar suffering might feel safer than the unknown space of release. Yes, even suffering can become familiar, like a tight shoe you've worn for years. It hurts, but it's known. When you take it off, your foot feels strange. It takes time to adjust. So if you begin to let go and you feel discomfort, don't think you're doing it wrong. Sometimes discomfort is simply the mind leaving an old habit. Now let's talk practically. How do we actually practice letting go in a way that is simple, kind, and real? We will go step by step, like walking a path through a forest. Not running, not forcing, just walking. The first step is to name what you are clinging to, honestly and kindly. This sounds simple, but it is powerful. Often we suffer, but we don't know what we are gripping. We just feel the tension, we feel the anxiety, we feel the anger, we feel the sadness, but the mind is holding something underneath. So pause for a moment and ask yourself gently, what am I holding on to right now? Maybe it is an outcome, maybe it is approval, maybe it is an apology, maybe it is certainty, maybe it is the idea of being right, maybe it is the image of how life should be. Sometimes it is even smaller. It might be the need for someone to reply immediately, the need for a day to go smoothly, the need for your mind to feel calm all the time. When you name it, you begin to see it. And when you see it, you have a little space. In Buddhism, mindfulness is the beginning of freedom. Not mindfulness as a trendy word, but mindfulness as clear seeing. The second step is to separate pain from added suffering. This is one of the most practical teachings in Buddhism. Pain is part of life. Loss, sickness, aging, disappointment, misunderstanding, change, these are natural. But the mind adds more. The mind says, this should not be happening. This means something is wrong with me. I cannot accept this. I need it to stop now. I will never be okay. This added layer is what Buddhism invites you to release. For example, if someone leaves you, there is pain, but then the mind adds, I am unlovable. I will always be alone. I must get them back. I cannot survive this. Or if you make a mistake, there is pain, but then the mind adds, I'm a failure. I should be punished. I don't deserve peace. Or if you face uncertainty, there is discomfort. But then the mind adds, I must know. I must control everything. If I don't control, something terrible will happen. Letting go means you allow the first pain and you release the second suffering. This is not denial, it is wisdom. The third step is to come back to the body to calm the storm. When the mind is clinging, the body reveals it. The shoulders tighten, the jaw clenches, the stomach hardens, the breath becomes shallow, the chest feels heavy. In Buddhism, the body is not separate from the mind. The body and mind are connected like two reeds leaning on each other. So if you want to loosen the mind, begin with the body. Right now, just imagine taking one slower breath, not forcing it, just a little slower. And as you breathe out, feel your shoulders drop even 1%. This is the beginning of letting go, not in philosophy, but in your nervous system. When you're caught in loops, the mind is like a spinning wheel. Coming back to the breath is like putting your hand gently on the wheel so it slows. You can practice this anytime, in the middle of a conversation, before you check your phone, when you feel anger rising, when you feel anxiety before sleep. Just 3 breaths, 3 mindful breaths. You might think, how can 3 breaths change my life? But 3 breaths can change 1 moment, and your life is made of moments. The fourth step is to practice allowing instead of forcing. This is a big shift. Many people try to let go by fighting their mind. They say, stop thinking, stop feeling, stop being anxious. Why am I still like this? But this is more pushing. It is aversion. If you try to let go by force, you create tension. It's like trying to smooth water with your hand. The more you press, the more ripples you make. Instead, practice allowing. Allowing means you stop arguing with reality. If sadness is here, you allow sadness. If anger is here, you allow anger. If fear is here, you allow fear. Allowing does not mean acting out the emotion. It does not mean you become harmful. It means you let the feeling exist without making it your identity. You can say softly inside, this is sadness, this is anger, this is fear, this is longing. Just naming it can soften it, because the emotion feels most powerful when it is unnamed and unconscious. When you name it, you bring light into it. The fifth step is a simple, liberating question. Can I be with this as it is, just for now? Notice the words, just for now. The mind often refuses reality because it imagines it must accept it forever. If you are grieving, the mind says, if I accept this, it means I will never have them again. If you are anxious, the mind says, if I accept uncertainty, it means anything can happen. If you are hurt, the mind says, if I accept what they did, it means it was okay. But acceptance is not approval. Acceptance is simply admitting what is here. And you don't have to accept forever. You only practice for this moment. Can I be with this as it is, just for now? Can I allow this feeling for 10 seconds, for one breath, for 1 minute? This is how the mind learns, slowly, gently. The sixth step is to replace clinging with wise care. This is very important because many people fear that letting go means becoming passive. They fear it means doing nothing, tolerating everything, staying in harmful situations. No, that is not Buddhism. Letting go is not giving up your intelligence. It is freeing your intelligence. You can let go of clinging and still take action. In fact, your actions become clearer when you are not blinded by craving and fear. For example, in a relationship, letting go does not mean you accept disrespect. It means you stop begging for love while abandoning yourself. You can still communicate, you can still set boundaries, you can still leave if needed, but you do it from clarity, not desperation. In work, letting go does not mean laziness. It means you do your task with presence and you release the obsession with praise and the terror of blame. In your healing, letting go does not mean forget it. It means you stop reopening the wound with the same thoughts again and again. So wise care is this. You do what is skillful and you release what is uncontrollable. The Buddha taught the middle way, not extreme clinging and not extreme rejection, not addiction to pleasure and not self-torture, not blind hope and not hopelessness. Letting go is the middle way in your heart. The seventh step is to use small daily release practices that train the mind, because the mind is trained by repetition. If you have been clinging for years, you cannot expect one talk, one meditation, one insight to undo it instantly, but you can practice small releases. One practice is releasing the body. Each night before sleep, scan your body gently. Notice where you're holding, maybe the forehead, maybe the jaw, maybe the belly, and soften it slightly. Even 5% is good. As you soften the body, the mind learns softness too. Another practice is releasing the story. When you catch yourself repeating a painful story, pause and ask, is this thought useful right now? Not is it true, because it might be true, but is it useful right now? Sometimes the mind repeats true things in a harmful way. Yes, they hurt you. Yes, it was unfair. Yes, you lost something. But repeating it at 2 a.m. does not heal you. It only drains you. So you can say, not now, not as suppression, but as protection. Another practice is releasing the need to win. In arguments, notice how the mind wants to win. It wants to be right. It wants to prove the other wrong. This is a very strong form of clinging. Try just once to release that urge and choose peace. You can still speak your truth, but without the sharpness of needing to crush someone. Another practice is releasing expectations. Before you meet someone, before you start your day, notice your expectations. Expectations are not always bad, but they can easily become demands. Instead of, this must go well, try, I will do my best, and I will meet whatever comes with awareness. Now at this point, your mind might say something like this, but if I let go, I'll lose everything. This fear is common, so let's meet it kindly. The mind believes clinging keeps you safe, but look back on your life. Has clinging truly kept you safe, or has it mainly created tension? Clinging often does not protect, it only exhausts. Letting go does not mean you lose everything. It means you stop losing yourself. When you cling, you lose your peace, you lose your sleep, you lose your ability to enjoy the present, you lose your inner dignity. Letting go gives these back. And sometimes, yes, letting go might also mean you lose something external. You might lose a relationship that cannot grow. You might lose an identity that is no longer true. You might lose an old version of life. But what you gain is deeper. You gain freedom, you gain spaciousness, you gain a heart that can breathe. Now let's connect this gently to deeper Dharma, because the Buddha's teaching is not just self-help, it is a path to liberation. The Four Noble Truths are often taught in simple steps. First, there is dukkha, unsatisfactoriness. Life includes pain, loss, change, frustration. Second, the cause of dukkha is craving, tanha, the mind's thirst, the mind's gripping, the mind's resistance. Third, there is an end to dukkha. There is relief. There is peace possible, not by controlling life, but by understanding the mind. Fourth, there is a path to that peace, the Noble Eightfold Path: wise understanding, wise intention, wise speech, wise action, wise livelihood, wise effort, wise mindfulness, wise concentration. When you practice letting go, you are practicing the second and third truth in real time. You are seeing craving arise and you are loosening it. You are tasting a little freedom. This is why letting go is not a small thing. It is not just a coping technique. It is the heart of the Buddha's path. Now, I want to tell you something gentle and important. Letting go is not a one-time event. It is a moment-by-moment practice. Sometimes you will let go for 5 minutes and then you will cling again. That is normal. The practice is not never cling again. The practice is notice sooner, soften sooner, begin again. Like training a wild horse. At first it runs everywhere. You don't punish the horse. You guide it, you bring it back again and again. Slowly it learns. Your mind is like that. It is not your enemy. It is a habit, and habits can change. Sometimes letting go will look like forgiveness, not because the other person deserves it, but because your heart deserves peace. Sometimes letting go will look like grieving fully, crying, feeling, allowing the heart to break open, because grief is love with nowhere to go. Sometimes letting go will look like walking away, quietly, firmly, without hatred, because you respect yourself. Sometimes letting go will look like doing the hard work of healing, therapy, reflection, meditation, honest conversations, because letting go is not avoidance, it is truth. Let's talk about how you can know you are truly letting go, because sometimes the mind tricks us. Real letting go has certain signs. One sign is that you can breathe again. The chest feels less tight. The body feels a little softer. Another sign is you become less reactive. Something happens and you pause. You don't immediately send the angry message. You don't immediately spiral into fear. You respond more slowly with a little more wisdom. Another sign is you still care, but you suffer less. This is important. You might still love someone, but you no longer feel destroyed by their moods. You might still be working toward goals, but you are not constantly terrified. You might still remember the past, but it no longer controls your whole day. And perhaps the most beautiful sign is this: compassion grows. When you let go of your grip, you have more space in your heart. And in that space, you begin to understand others too. You see that they cling because they are afraid. They act harshly because they are suffering. This does not excuse harm, but it softens hatred. And it also softens hatred toward yourself. Now, I want to speak directly to you if you are someone who says, I tried letting go, but it didn't work. Please don't judge yourself. Letting go is not like deleting a file. It is like untangling a knot. Sometimes you pull the wrong thread and it tightens. That's okay. You learn. Sometimes you will need to let go in layers. First, you let go of the fantasy that it will be easy. Then you let go of the belief that you must be perfect. Then you let go of the demand that you should be healed by now. Then you let go of the idea that you are alone. Even the desire to let go perfectly can become clinging. So be gentle. Be very gentle. A simple practice you can start today is this. When you notice yourself gripping a thought, gripping a person, gripping a fear, pause and do 3 things. First, breathe and feel your body. Where is the tightness? Second, name what is happening. Clinging is here, or craving is here, or fear is here. Just name it softly. Third, offer yourself one small release. Relax the jaw, drop the shoulders, soften the belly, unclench the hands, and whisper inside, just for now. Just for now, I will not fight this moment. Just for now, I will let life be as it is. Just for now, I will not add more suffering. And if you can do that for one breath, you have practiced letting go. Now, tonight, if you are listening to this and you are carrying something heavy, I want you to know something. You don't have to solve your whole life. You don't have to figure out the future. You don't have to force your heart to be ready. You only have to soften your grip for a moment, because peace is not a big achievement. It is often a small release. And as you practice small releases, the mind begins to trust. It begins to see, I can survive without gripping. I can breathe without controlling. I can live without demanding. This is freedom. So I invite you gently to practice letting go today in one small way. If you are holding on to anger, can you loosen it by 1%? Not to approve what happened, but to protect your heart. If you are holding on to fear, can you return to the breath for 3 slow breaths and remember that the future is not here yet? If you are holding on to a person, can you wish them well and also wish yourself well and remember that love does not require chains? If you are holding on to a mistake, can you forgive yourself enough to take one wise step forward? And if you are holding on to the idea that you must be okay all the time, can you let that go too and allow yourself to be human? In Buddhism, the path is not about becoming a perfect person. It is about becoming a free person, free from unnecessary suffering, free from the tight fist, free to love without fear, free to live with a soft, brave heart. May you learn to hold life gently. May you learn to let feelings come and go without drowning in them. May you learn to act wisely without clinging to outcomes. May you be kind to yourself in your healing. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from unnecessary suffering. Namo Buddhaya. A quick question. Are you having sleepless nights because of these heavy loads of thoughts that are coming and looping inside your mind? Or are you someone who is imagining the worst case scenarios all the time whenever you are going to do something new? Or are you someone who is worrying about